Well, Dan, the 2025-2026 NFL regular season has officially come to an end. It started off with a spit. It ended with a missed kick. It's almost like the song. It started off with a kiss. How did it end up like this? It was only a kiss. It was only a spit. You remember back when the Eagles and Cowboys, before the game even started, Jalen Carter spit gate. And for the season to then end the way it did with a missed kick on Sunday Night Football to get Aaron Rodgers into the playoffs, Packers legend gets one more chance wearing the Steelers black and gold in the playoffs. The spit to the missed kick and a hell of a lot in between. A hell of a lot in between. Tons of surprises. It's going to be really fun in a couple weeks to kind of look back at the season. Where obviously we don't have time for that now because there's so much ahead of us still. The next 2 weekends of football are the best 2 weekends of football on the calendar, especially when you add in the college games this week. So Dan, that to me is the best way to put a bow on it. It started with a spit, it ended with a missed kick, and a hell of a lot in between.
That's great. I couldn't have said it any better myself. A regular poet, you are, Mark. Great encapsulation of the 2025 season. There it is in a nutshell. And I will point out the kicking gaff was to my benefit as a Steelers fan. The very next day, it ended up being the undoing for my Illinois State Redbirds in the most brutal spot imaginable, with
the Birds
choosing to kick a field goal at 4th and 1 in the red zone with a kicker that you got from Elon just 2 weeks prior, who had never been in that spot.
And not Musk.
And then for them to miss the extra point in overtime. Brutal loss, but at least I have a win on one end of that spectrum with the Steelers. Moving on. A lot to discuss here as we head into Wild Card Weekend, and of course, recapping Black Monday as we have a few more head coaching vacancies available throughout the NFL. We'll dive into all of that and more coming up. We will begin the NFL coaching carousel with the most recent news, which just dropped about an hour ago, not even, that the Ravens have parted ways with head coach John Harbaugh after 18 seasons with the team. There was all of that speculation going into the AFC North Championship, as Tomlin calls it, about is the losing coach in this game going to be on the chopping block? Of course, no knowledge of whether or not that game was the very thing that broke the camel's back. Perhaps this has been something that was in the works and decided upon well ahead of time. The reports are that this was over a course of several days, which would indicate that Harbaugh had already been talked to prior to the game on Sunday night. But regardless, Mark, I start us off with this news with a pretty funny tweet from Sam Munson of PFF, who said, "This now presents the opportunity for perhaps the funniest thing in the history of the league to happen, which is this weekend the Steelers losing to the Texans, firing Mike Tomlin, Ravens hire Tomlin, Steelers hire Harbaugh to be their next head coaches, and we've got the Tomlin Harbaugh division again." For who knows how long.
I think it would be great for both teams.
I think it'd be hilarious. I don't know how excited I would be.
It's not going to happen, but I'll say this: the news when I saw it, just a little, like you said, a little over an hour ago, it didn't shock me, but I also just immediately felt like if I'm Kevin Stefanski, I go, "Oh crap," but then I go, "Oh crap. Maybe I can take the Lamar Jackson Ravens job," because Kevin Stefanski was the belle of the ball on the market, right? Like he's the number one guy. He's getting all the calls, kind of pick of the litter. I was kind of, and we'll talk about this here coming up, but I was thinking to myself, Atlanta might be sneaky the best opening. I know a lot of people are saying the Raiders, but that AFC West is so tough. The NFC South is a little bit more wide open. Um, and now all of a sudden, the Ravens job opens up, and you have nothing but a historically great organization, since the move, since the
He is the
transition.
complete opposite of Cleveland for
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski, so
He knows them. He knows the AFC North, and he gets Lamar Jackson. If
it's
I'm the
interesting.
Ravens, and I'd be really kicking the tires hard on that. And how embarrassing again would that be for Cleveland to then have Stefanski come into your house 2
And
times
beat
a
your
year
butts
and
year
kick
after year.
your butt for 2 games a year. Getting ahead of ourselves, and this is what's so fun about this week,
The
Dan.
speculation.
We talk about this every year on the show. When we get to this week in particular, going into wildcard weekend, there's so much to talk about because you have great football games to preview, but you also have, for every bad team, the storylines just start opening up. I mean, the floodgates
Yeah.
open. Listen, for the Ravens, I think it's smart. It's time to move on. The concern I have if I'm Baltimore, if it's not Stefanski, the carousel of coaches right now does not look great. I
The
retweeted.
early favorites that everyone's talking about right now is Cliff Kingsbury because of the type of quarterback that he could work with, but again,
Yes,
we've seen that not work out too well in Arizona, and I mean,
but
things kinda went haywire this
when you
past
look at
year
the
as the
history,
OC
yeah, when
in
you look at the
Washington.
history of Arizona, you could argue it's like the Jets. Like, who's winning there? Who's
Right, right.
succeeding there? Their history is awful. It's really, really awful as an organization. Um, so yeah, that's an interesting name. I didn't even think about that. Cliff Kingsbury with Lamar. It sounds great. If I'm Harbaugh, though, I love the Adam Schefter tweet I saw just before we came on. It's like 7 teams have already reached out to Harbaugh. There are only 7 openings, including the Ravens, meaning the Ravens didn't reach out to Harbaugh, meaning Schefter is
Yeah, saying
alluding to
another vacancies
someone
coming
who's
up.
already got a head coach is calling about Harbaugh. And listen, there's 6, 7 teams right now I can think of that have head coaches that aren't fired that should be calling Harbaugh. Um, it's going to be really interesting. If I'm Harbaugh, I wait. I bide my time
Yeah,
because that Josh
yeah,
Allen job might come open. Like, there's a lot of exciting. If you This weekend, there could be some openings
for
because
sure.
of if some embarrassing losses happen. If you are a Buffalo Bills, that's the first team that obviously comes to mind. So
It also is bizarre. I think Schefter tweeted it out. The now most tenured head coaches in the league, obviously Tomlin is the top, and
Andy Reid,
Reid in 2013, who was hired. The rest, so those are the 2 who have been here for
yeah,
well over a decade. The rest aren't even a decade tenured with their teams. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan in 2017, like that's the next group.
yeah,
So it's interesting to think about, like, this league really has more head coaching turnover, it seems, than starting quarterback turnover half the time
yeah. Well,
because
look at the Raiders.
I mean, yeah, seriously.
I
But
mean,
it is just I wouldn't have guessed, like, if you would have said how many coaches in the league are with their team have been with their team for a decade, I would have thought, a handful. It's only been 2. It's only
yeah.
been 2.
Well, we've lost now, losing Harbaugh and losing Belichick over the last couple of years. Like, that
Yeah.
knocked a lot of that averages
Yeah,
down a
Carroll
peg.
from
Pete Carroll
Seattle.
from Seattle. That's another one. Great, great, great reference. I missed that one there. Yeah, it's a big listen. It's a big one. Harbaugh is, to me, the number one. I would put Stefanski just below him at number 2. Um, but Dan, I'll tell you, dude, the Titans tweeted out something, and I retweeted. I was just like, good God, I feel for Cam Ward. We have already requested interviews with 3 defensive coordinators: Vance Joseph, Steve Spagnuolo,
Oh, yeah.
someone else. And the only offensive guy was Matt Nagy, who, if you look at the Chiefs' offensive numbers since Nagy came back to the Chiefs after getting fired by the Bears,
Haven't been great.
it's not been good. I mean, and Nagy, remember, wasn't the OC pre getting the Bears job. He had the OC for 1 year because it was Eric Bieniemy. And then he was like, I need to go get myself a job. Never worked out for him. Nagy's like, gets 1 year as the OC, even though he doesn't call plays. It's still Andy Reid. And so I don't know, man. There's obviously
Yeah.
you got to, there's a Rooney rule. There's things like you got to do to get to do it. But Man, that's they're you cannot be thinking for some of these jobs with these young quarterbacks. If you're the Raiders, I heard the Raiders like Brian Flores was the favorite to get the Raiders job. It's like you're going to go draft a quarterback number one, and you're going to stick him with Brian Flores. I get it. Hopefully, he's a changed man, but we saw what happened with Tua. I mean, like it's just man, certain teams just don't feel like they're learning. And when you look at the teams we're
Yeah,
about to talk about with the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the Chicago Bears, young quarterbacks and offensive coaches are the way to go right now. When you look at the coaches who just got fired, it's a lot of Rich Gannon DCs that didn't work out. Now, some may say, well, look at Mike McDonald. Seattle's the number one seed. Okay, I don't have a retort to that except for Mike McDonald seems like a generational young defensive coordinator because he is totally bucking the trend. Don't
yeah.
lose.
I mean, it can work if they're certain type. D'Amico Ryan's, it's
Yes,
so far we would say has worked out, but yeah, again,
worked.
it's they're fewer and farther between.
Yeah, and D'Amico is a former player and a former player in that organization. A lot of these DCs that you're getting
That's
opportunities
true.
don't
Yeah.
necessarily have that vibe. So, Dan, it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, a couple other coaches fired. Who else have we not really
Yeah,
talked
so
about
Pete
here?
Carroll's out in Vegas.
Yeah,
We mentioned Stefanski out with the Browns. We've got um, oh gosh, who am I missing? We had another big one that happened as
Rich
well. And
Gannon
yeah,
in
Jonathan
Arizona.
Gannon. There you go in Arizona. So those are the four from Black Monday
Besides then, the
and Black
Titans,
Tuesday,
the
I guess.
Giants, and who else fired in season? Titans. Oh, Atlanta. Well, Raheem Morris out too in Atlanta.
Yes, yeah,
That was
yep,
Black Sunday. They didn't even wait till Monday. That was Sunday night.
right,
It was like,
right,
we're done
yeah.
with Raheem Morris and their
Which
GM.
that one did surprise me a little bit. They finished the season quite strong.
They did.
Um, kind of dealt with a disaster. The only thing I can think of is if Morris was somehow given the keys to the draft and pounded the table for Penix and was the prime reason that Penix got into the building,
Yeah, but the
then I could
GM was
maybe
also
see that
fired.
them saying, "Hey, you hitched your wagon to this guy and it hasn't worked out, and then he got hurt and it's
Yeah.
just not working." But it did seem there must be a very very intriguing prospect for Atlanta to do this because that did seem a little premature to me, even
Yeah.
though nothing's been great in Atlanta. But I mean, given what they had this year, I thought that they took some strides
Yeah.
compared to what they were in
Totally.
2024.
You
But
know, you know, Matt LaFleur is a guy who's been talked slightly on the hot seat. And
yeah,
and
yeah,
the Packers are an organization that feels like if I'm John Harbaugh, I could go to the NFC. If I'm Kevin Stefanski, I could go to the NFC and I could go work for that organization. I feel like LaFleur might be on a little bit of a you need to win because things just don't feel right. It feels like there's just a slight disconnect. And he's been a fairly long tenured head coach at this point in time, I think
sure,
6 years,
yeah,
something
yeah.
like
He
that.
was with that cycle.
I'm trying to think of Buffalo and the Packers to me are the only two that jump out to me as like if they lose, maybe if the Steelers lose really badly, maybe they were waiting for the Ravens to fire hard. You know what I mean? Like now it feels like, okay, that weight is off. But if the
Yeah,
Steelers get embarrassed or blown out, maybe they could. But those would be the only three of the playoff teams that I would even say maybe. But even then, I don't
right.
feel strongly about it.
It's a
But
longer
again,
shot.
with Harbaugh being on the market, it gives you a little bit more oomph with your fan base. If I'm Buffalo, if I'm Green Bay, if I'm one of those two teams and I say, listen, we're firing a guy for Harbaugh, then that makes sense, right? I can sell that to my fan base. I'm trying to think of who else maybe would have called with, who has a coach, but it maybe made that
I
call.
mean, Miami maybe.
Miami makes some sense. I do think NFC teams make some sense. You know what I mean? Like, um, there's got to be
Well,
someone.
I mean, definitely. Oh, the Cardinals are a part of
Yeah,
that
there's got to be
vacancy already.
someone in the NFC. Maybe Washington. He's right across the bay. You know what I mean? Like you have Jane Daniels. They have kind of that same type of hey, you worked with this quarterback. You kind of know what we're doing. This was such a bad year.
Hey, I mean, Tampa.
Tampa, great choice, great
You know,
call.
Bowles has obviously steadied the ship there and been good, but they
It,
they blew it this year.
yeah, and it
Um,
doesn't feel like he's the type of guy that can get them over the hump. He
yeah,
feels
is he
like
the
he's a
future?
yeah, he
Uh,
feels like he's maybe reached his peak. I will
yeah,
ask you, Dan, because by the time we talk again, so I want to get to the game so we can wrap this up. But by the
for
time
sure.
we talk again, there may be some vacancies filled. Right now, for me, Baltimore's number one. I would make the argument Atlanta's actually the number two opening. Do you agree or disagree? A lot of people are saying the Raiders, the Raiders, the Raiders. They have the number one pick. They have Brock Bowers. They have Ashton Genty. They have Max Crosby. There's a lot of good with the Raiders, right? But I don't know if I can overweigh the recent firings. They're still paying John Gruden. They're still paying Antonio Pierce. I mean, this is insane.
Yeah, from an
Now that
organizational standpoint, there's a lot to be desired there. I would think it's possible we don't know what Tom Brady's presence there
yeah,
is going to do for the organization. Perhaps, there's been a lot of speculation that his broadcasting days are done after this year. A lot of people are saying he's going to
even
be
though
a
he's
full
getting good at
time.
it. He's getting
Yeah,
good at it.
he is. But there's speculation that he's going to one take much more of a stance within the organization, and therefore they're not going to be allowed to have him continue to be a
Yeah.
broadcaster. So maybe if there's like some sort of selling point there for someone to truly believe that they're turning a corner in Vegas, I could see it.
Yeah.
I agree with you though. All of the allure of the number one pick, which how confident are we Mendoza is going to be the next generation? Like, who knows?
He
It
seems
depends on how
good.
confident the head coach is that the number one pick's going to pan out. But
Yeah.
on top of that, it's Vegas. That in and of itself is enticing. They've got the money. But they play in the AFC West. Like, so to your point, the Falcons have the most winnable division. Um, you play in a dome. You've got a young quarterback that you can mold, but nobody is like super tied to like we have to make Penix
You
work.
can
Like if he
move
doesn't work,
on
he
from
doesn't work.
him. You can move on from in a year from now,
Right.
right? Like and get your own guy in. And Dan, also like the Raiders, the AFC West is a huge issue, right? You have
Sure.
Mahomes, and he's the one who'd argue is like, well, okay, well, what's the easiest team to beat in the AFC West right now? The Chiefs. Well, yeah, but they're getting Mahomes back, and they're getting like they're not, and that's Andy Reid. I mean, the AFC West is brutal. The AFC in general still has Burrow, still has Allen, still had now you have Drake May and Lawrence playing really well. Like the AFC seems so
Yeah.
thick and
And way
dense.
more playmakers in Atlanta. Just
Way
across
more
the board,
playmakers. Now,
player wise, they have
yes,
a better roster.
and
No
you have a
question.
chance to re-sign Kyle Pitts. You don't have a first round pick this year, okay, but you have a team that's right now. You could come in with a couple roster tweaks, whether you start Cousins or Penix, a manageable quarterback. Like you have a team that could again go 8-9 or 9-8 and be competitive in your first year and really
Yeah.
feel good. So I think it's Baltimore, Atlanta. I mean, the next opening, it's hard. Like, right? Like, where do I go? Cleveland's a dumpster. The Cleveland is over the cap by like 60 million, and they don't have a left tackle, a wide receiver number one. They don't have a quarterback. Like, it's a nightmare scenario. The
Yeah.
Jets are the Jets. I mean, and they're not the coaching's not opening, but like I'm talking about, I guess that Todd McShay. That's why I thought of the Jets. Did you see the Todd McShay quote? So
No.
Todd McShay apparently told Dante Moore, the quarterback of Oregon, who's a stud, who everyone's thinking would be the only other chance to be the number one pick between him and Mendoza. He
Yeah.
hasn't declared yet or not. Apparently, Tom McShay told Moore's people, your job is to find out if you go number one. If you can go number one, then enter the draft and go to the Raiders because you have Brock Bowers, you have Genty, you have Tom Brady, blah, 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 right? Like okay, and you're the number one pick. But if you're not number one and they're going to go with Mendoza, then you have to go back to school. Do not go to the Jets. He said to Dante Moore's people, do not let him go to the New York Jets, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, listen, the Giants are not attractive. I know they're the Giants, but what do you do with Dart? I don't love him. Yes, you have Neighbors, but he's coming back from a major injury. There's a lot of openings. The Titans, it's like, okay, I get Cam Ward, but again, that division now looks really tough. you have two really good teams that are in the playoffs and a team that just missed the playoffs. That the only reason they missed the playoffs because their quarterback got injured. Otherwise, they probably would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's not a great looking opening. The Ravens and the Falcons to me are good openings. The Ravens maybe being a great opening with the stability of the organization and the
Oh, for
quarterback.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's dive in. We've got the playoff landscape set. We've got this all figured out. 14 teams. The road to Super Bowl 60 is officially underway. So we'll pull this up here and
Is
kind
this
of
the
talk
first
this
time
through.
in our podcast history that both our teams are in the playoffs? I think the only other chance would have been 2020, the COVID year.
Yeah, it would have been that year because that was the year that the Steelers went 10 and
Okay.
0 or
So that
11
was the
and
only
0.
other year because we were not doing a podcast during the double doink. And Mitch, that was the Mitch year where they lost to the Saints, but he was the MVP. So that might have been our first year doing the show.
Yeah, it was. It was. That
All
was the
right.
first year.
So this
Yep.
feels a little different for
And
both our teams.
that would have been the Steelers getting bounced by the
Yeah, after going
Browns,
11-0.
yeah, at home, um,
Yeah,
in that
little
first game.
different. Little different this year.
So, we've got the AFC on the left side here for those watching, of course, and the NFC on the right. We can start with the AFC.
Let's do it.
Number 1 seed is the Denver Broncos, so they're gonna be on a bye for wild card round. 14-3, they finished the year. We've got the matchup here between Buffalo as the 6 seed and the 3 seed Jacksonville Jaguars, who finished the year 13-4. Great end for them. Was it an 8-game win streak, I think, or winners of 8 of 9?
Something like I think winners of 8 or
Um,
9.
so, on this side of the bracket, the Texans are the only hotter team coming into the playoffs
9 wins straight.
than the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's talk through this matchup a little bit. Buffalo going on the road in Jacksonville for this game. What's your confidence level?
I
in
heard something I can't get out of my head. I'll give him credit. Nick Wright said on Colin Cowherd today, I don't know who I'm picking to win the Super Bowl, but whoever wins the Jacksonville Bills game is who I
Yeah.
will pick to win the Super Bowl, which is really interesting. I think the great thing if you're Jacksonville and Buffalo, if you win, you have to feel really confident that you're going to play a Denver team that feels like you can be gettable. It's a 1 seed that doesn't feel like quite like Seattle on the other side of the bracket.
Mhm.
So breaking down the matchup specifically, I think there's the key to me is going to be who runs the ball better. Travis Etienne has came on in the second half of the season, but Dalvin Cook obviously was the Russian champion. We talked about it throughout the season. Buffalo, when they run the ball well and almost take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands to just let him make the big plays, not have to make all the plays, they're nearly unbeatable. Jacksonville's defense is a better unit than Buffalo's, but Buffalo has a lot more experience in big games, been there, done that. Yeah, the Jags came back 3 years ago, but that feels like a lifetime ago. That feels like it was 2 coaches ago for the Jags almost, you know what I mean? It feels like.
Yeah.
And for the Jags, um, at home, I think is a huge plus for them, not having to go to the cold of Buffalo. I don't think the Florida heat is going to really bother Buffalo, to be honest. It's not like a summer 90-degree August day. It'll be a manageable game. So my thoughts early on, I like Buffalo from the experience. I like Buffalo because of Josh Allen. And I think this is going to be, in my opinion, the best game of the first round in the sense of don't trust anyone of the experts. Don't trust me. I have no idea. I think this has a chance to be like an all-timer 35-36 crazy game, last minute comeback. Josh Allen being heroic. I'll take the Bills slightly as an advantage against a really good Jacksonville team that could, if there's a blowout, it's going to be the Jags. I'll put it that way. But I think the Bills, if it's a close game, I like Josh Allen and I like the Bills to make the plays to win the game.
Yeah, I'm going to divert a little bit here. I think I'm going to take Jacksonville. To me, they've been the most consistently inspiring team this second half of the season. The Texans are on a 9-game winning streak, but I still feel like I have a lot of reservations about Houston that I don't have necessarily with Jacksonville, because Trevor Lawrence has been consistently playing incredible football during this stretch. He's been playing like an MVP this entire second half of the season. Um, to go off of that point about what Nick Wright said, it is an interesting point as well, because I think the winner of this game can feel confident for different reasons. Buffalo comes into the AFC playoffs with the best quarterback. I don't think there's too much debate about that. Drake May obviously has had an MVP caliber season, but we would all say Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the AFC playoffs right now. So there's nothing to lose from that aspect of things. If he goes on, they still know that they're going to have the quarterback advantage in any of these matchups. But they'll be able to say we beat off, we fended off, we finally like proved that we can fend off a super feisty complete team, because Buffalo's really been able to take advantage of like glaring weaknesses. There's not really a glaring weakness in Jacksonville. And so I think if they can show that they can stymie the run and shut down Trevor Lawrence to an extent to win this game, or just simply Josh Allen is able to get enough out of his playmakers, because he's going to need help in this game. If he can get enough, there's a lot of confidence then from the wide receiver core, from the running game, that like, okay, we just beat like a really good team and we were able to kind of outduel them from an offensive standpoint. That gives you a lot of confidence going into what presumably would be Denver. For Jacksonville, it's we just knocked off the best quarterback in this branch, and now we might have the best quarterback on the way to the Super Bowl, unless they run into Drake May and the Patriots at some point, to which you could say it's a little bit, I would say it's closer than people would like to admit. But I would give Drake May the edge. So Jacksonville then could be able to say we just went toe to toe with the best quarterback in this bracket, and that clears a path on your way to the Super Bowl. I'm going to take Jacksonville mainly because I think they pose too much of a problem. That if they can't run the football, they still have the playmakers with Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange, Jacoby Myers to get enough offensive firepower behind it, which the way Trevor Lawrence is playing. I just don't trust many of the skill players on Buffalo outside of James Cook. And so I think that's what's ultimately going to be the difference in this one. Both quarterbacks have really taken care of the ball well too. And so is one of these defenses going to step up and get a premier turnover at a crucial time? I think Jacksonville's more likely to get that opportunity than Buffalo. So that would be my pick in this particular matchup. And let me check and see who's actually favored right now. It is Buffalo. Buffalo's getting a 1.5 points. So it's about as close to a push as you can get, but they're getting a 1.5 point road favorites there. A lot going for Jacksonville. They're also playing with house money too.
Well, all the pressure's on Buffalo. They have the most pressure of any team in this playoffs. And Jacksonville, definitely a house money team. Dan, I think I really think this has a chance to be the best game, like electric game of because when you look at the other matchups, as we're about to talk about, I'm looking at all these other ones. There is glaring issues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the only glaring issue I see with Buffalo Jacksonville is like Buffalo's defense worries me a bit. But when you combine that with the pressure of the playoffs and Trevor Lawrence and the Jag, like there's the unknown of the Jags. Yeah, like so it just feels like that kind of equals out, and like we might get like a 33-30 really great, awesome game down to the wire. Where the other ones I can see blowouts and I can see just like rock fights. Looking at you, San Francisco, Philadelphia, like it's there's some maybe ugly games coming up.
The 7-seeded Chargers travel to New England to take on the 14-3 second-seeded Patriots. This is an interesting matchup, but I think it's finally going to be the Chargers, despite their great resilience that they've displayed this year. I think the Chargers are going to run into a dose of reality in this game in the form of Drake May. Um, I have a lot of questions about the Charger defense, and that Patriots defense led by Mike Vrabel is so buttoned up and disciplined and I'm not comparing them to last year's Rams, but in the way, like, the surprising nature of how this defense has really turned into one of the better units in the league out of nowhere, similar to what the Rams did last year. I think they're also playing with a big, level of confidence, momentum, and the Chargers just don't have the offensive line to contend with this. I think it's going to be a tough day. I think they're going to have to rely really heavily on Justin Herbert. Maybe he can pull it out, but I'm going to give the Patriots the edge in this one, and I think it'll be closer than maybe I'd like to think, but I still think the Patriots win by 7, and it's probably with the Chargers getting like a field goal late to get it that close.
I think again, we're 2 for 2 now with great quarterback matchups. You know what I mean? You get Allen and Lawrence, both 6'6", 6'5", giant arms, physical guys, and then you get May and Herbert, both 6'6", 6'5", 6'7", I don't know, and both giant arms and physical running. Like, these 4 guys are all this modern prototype of a mix of Big Ben and Brady, these just huge, accurate arms and physical presence who will run the ball, who all feel like they're capable of running a 40-yard touchdown if they need to, and all capable of throwing a 60-yard touchdown if they need to. That excites the heck out of me. I mean, just really, really exciting quarterback matchups in these first 2 games of the AFC. I don't have as big of concern about the Chargers being able to hang with the Patriots for the reason that I just don't trust the Patriots defense to be as violently disruptive, right? There's no Myles Garrett on that front 7. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
with the Chargers, listen, they've had a bad offensive line all season. So it's not like the Chiefs Super Bowl where they got embarrassed by Tampa when it was like, oh, no, they lost both starting tackles a week ago and now they have to play in the Super Bowl. It's not that. It's not like we've had this all year and now we have to patchwork it. They've been patchworking all year. So I don't think that's as big of a concern. They know they're dealing with it. My concern is the pressure on Justin Herbert to not throw 4 picks and embarrass himself, because Justin Herbert has had 2 playoff games and they've both gone from you had a 27-point lead and you lost, and the other one is you threw 4 interceptions after only throwing 3 all year. That's a lot of pressure. Besides Josh Allen, he's got the most pressure, in my opinion, to perform in this playoffs, and they're both in the AFC. That's my concern with the Chargers. I think it's a close game. I think it's a really fun game. I think you're going to see explosive plays from both teams. I think when it comes down to it right now, New England at home in the cold is the better football team. It's not because Justin Herbert is going to blow the game. I think he's going to play well. I think he has got good matchups to play well. Veterans and Keenan Allen, a great slot in Ladd McConkey. Hampton is back and running the ball well. Like, I think they have a chance to stay in this game. I just think it comes down to what you said. This Patriots offense is extremely buttoned up. This Patriots defense is extremely buttoned up. I just don't think they're going to make the errors. And when you're at home, you have to make errors to lose a football game in the playoffs. I don't see that happening. I like New England as well, but in another close game, I think it's a fun, close game. Maybe a little lower scoring than a Buffalo-Jacksonville, but I think that's mainly maybe because of the weather and because Justin Herbert doesn't want to make mistakes, and because I think you're going to see the Patriots make sure that Drake May is comfortable and not uncomfortable in the pressure of this big moment.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is a huge moment. It's his first playoff start, so there's a lot riding on that. Could we see a Justin Herbert-esque performance from Drake May in the playoffs? We don't know. We will find out how he rises to the occasion. So maybe that could be something where it's like Justin Herbert been there, done that. I've had those moments. I know how to handle them. Whereas how does Drake May handle himself? I mean, that is going to
Yeah.
be the determining factor, right? It's a quarterback centric league. And when it comes to the playoffs, it's all going to ride on the performance of your quarterback, especially when you've been riding that performance all season long.
They're a
That's
house
gonna be a
money.
big
They're a house money team as well. Like, you know
Absolutely,
what I
yeah,
mean? And
absolutely.
I'll say this: if the storyline is this Chargers won 27-23, Herbert threw 3 touchdowns and was terrific. May threw a couple interceptions and looked a little frazzled. I don't think anyone is panicking in New England, right?
Right.
Like and I don't think that's a shocking result. I think it's like, all right, Justin Herbert finally showed up, played a great game, even when his team wasn't, built for a deep run. But I also think this game could be 30-13, and New England's just kind of too good and
Yeah.
overwhelms them like they've done to bad teams all year.
Yep, yep. No, I agree there. They are 3.5-point favorites, the New England Patriots
That
are
feels
at
right.
home. The over-under is 46.5. So, one of the lower totals of no, it's actually it's like the median. It's the median total. But 52.5, by far the highest for Bills Jaguars. So
Yeah, that makes
that
sense.
should tell you what
Weather,
everybody expects from that.
quarterbacks, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So the final game in the AFC from Wildcard Weekend is Monday Night Football. I hate that they do Monday
I
night
know,
games
dude.
for the playoffs. It's brutal. It does work in both
Your
these teams'
favor.
favors coming into the game. They get that one extra day of rest after, especially for the Steelers, after needing to fight in a tough divisional game for their playoff lives.
Aren't they
But
also guaranteed the Sunday game for the winner, like the following
I
week?
think if they're not, that's
I think the
crazy.
rule is
But
they are guaranteed to
yeah.
play Sunday.
But even if they're also guaranteed to have a rest disadvantage, which is why if you're going to have a Monday game, I would argue for 2 Monday games. So then you at least insert the possibility of Pittsburgh's next opponent being
It's equal
someone.
rest.
So if the first teams are AFC matchup, then you make the second one AFC matchup as well. And maybe those two teams will get matched up. So there's at least the chance of not having a rest advantage or disadvantage
Yeah.
coming into this one. It's the same with the Saturday Sunday things too. I mean, some of these teams are going to get advantages going into the playoffs, and I just don't like that. I think it should be a clean slate
Yeah.
when it comes to that. But regardless, 5-seeded Houston travels to Pittsburgh, who obviously won in the final seconds. By the way, real quick tidbit: Tyler Loop missed the field goal at the end of regulation. One of the NFL stats handles on Twitter showed that there had been exactly 60,000 field goal attempts in NFL history. 60,000, which is actually less than I would have assumed. 60,000 attempts in NFL history. That one on Monday night was the first and only field goal attempt in NFL history that was for a winner go home a winner go home kick in the final moments in the final game of the regular season
Wow.
ever. That had never been attempted before.
The holy water did it. The holy
You know,
water blessing.
exactly. Yeah. But nonetheless, Aaron Rodgers' career, for the time being at least, continues for another week, and they get to host a game there in Pittsburgh. But as we mentioned, the red hot 9-win Texans, 9-game winning streak, I should say, Texans, coming into this one, defense is playing outstanding. I think it's an interesting matchup. Much like how I think the Bills and Jags are actually matched up quite well and very similar. I think that the Texans and Steelers are similar too. Now, the Texans defense, I would say, is certainly better, but both teams have the capability of putting on a dominant defensive performance. And there's a lot of questions about which offense is going to show up. So I think that makes for an interesting matchup here between the two teams. But I'd love to get your thoughts here before I give my take.
Yeah, my initial thoughts is every single team on the NFC and AFC is rooting for Pittsburgh in this game. I think everyone wants that Texans defense the F out of here. They're done. No one wants to deal with that. Everyone is looking at Pittsburgh like, just get it done, get a win, scrap out a 13-10 victory, figure it out, and then you can lose, and then everyone's going to feel much better, a sigh of relief. That Texans defense, to me, with Seattle's defense, but I think Texans a little bit more, is the elite unit in the whole of the NFL playoffs. Like, they're the one unit you can look at in the whole NFL playoffs. Maybe the Rams offense, where you can just say that is dirty, that is nasty, and that is in a lot of ways unfair. And when you're talking about cold weather January, February football, it's a huge advantage. Now, it's going to be cold in Pittsburgh on Monday night. I know there's some storms coming through Chicago Saturday night. So I don't know what the lingering of that cold weather kind of in the north and central part of the country is going to hang around. I know it's going to still be cooler on a Monday night in Pittsburgh.
We're a week out, but currently it has about, mid 30s with no current signs of rain. Obviously, a lot of that
but there could be a wind
currently
wind
it's
chill.
just going to be pretty cold, and it says about 10-mile-an-hour winds.
But CJ Stroud played Ohio State. It's not a big deal. So I'll say this. My initial thought is I absolutely think Pittsburgh can win this game. I absolutely think they can. The Texans are weird. You're having to change your perception on them, right? Because the last two times they made the playoffs, it was a lot of, the CJ Stroud, his rookie year 2 years ago. It's like, man, he's the reason they're making it. It's that offense. It's Nico Collins. It's Tank Dell. Offensively, they're just not there. Now, Pittsburgh is also not there, but I also think they get DK Metcalf back. And you're going to see, I think, a Pittsburgh team that also feels this kind of release of pressure, right? Like the worry of the collapse down the stretch was huge. It was ginormous.
Yeah.
And that missed kick and Harbaugh getting fired, there's such a release of pressure. And I just think you're going to see a Pittsburgh team that at home plays with a ton of confidence, and an Aaron Rodgers that's, dude, his throw to Adam Thielen in the seam.
Yeah. And Pat Freiermuth. Both of those throws were incredible. But the Thielen throw was amazing.
That throw, I said to myself, there's truly 5 guys in NFL history that I would say I confidently would say could make that throw easily. Aaron's probably number 1 of the 5, but the fact that he's doing it still at his age and that ease.
It's the first time, I would say, in a long time that I think the Steelers have a quarterback advantage in a playoff game.
It's weird.
Probably since 2018.
Yeah, probably. I'll say this, Dan. As of right now, if you told me you have to bet the game, I'm betting Pittsburgh to win. I think there's something there, and I think the Texans' 9-game win streak is very good, but there's a lot of pressure to that as well. This was an 0-3 team. They turned everything around defensively, but you're going up. It's not a great matchup as far as for them, because defensively, Pittsburgh, I think, matches up with the Texans fairly well. They're on the road in the cold as a dome team. I think Pittsburgh is uniquely positioned to take advantage of Texans, and they're going to win something ugly, 17-13 in a rock fight. And if it's a rock fight, I have Aaron Rodgers, and they don't. And my gut says take Pittsburgh at home when the world is picking against them. That may be dumb. Again, if there's a blowout, it's going to be the Texans. But if it's a close game, and I think it will be, I think I'm going to trust the wily vet and Aaron Rodgers.
I think it'll be a close game too. I'm going to depart from my typical cynicism with Pittsburgh this entire second half, and I think I'm going to pick them to win this game too. I think partly because they got a little lucky this past week. They also, Boswell missed the extra point too. That kind of washes both of those situations out. But they got a little lucky. They snuck in. To their credit, they finished the year 4-1. That, I mean, if you told me at the beginning of the year that they would finish the year 4-1, I would take that all day, because it's been a poor trend of theirs over the last 5 years or so, of finishing really, really bad down the stretch. So they do bring a little bit of momentum into this. Rodgers has been the last, outside of the Cleveland game, which I know you can't just dismiss, but outside of the Cleveland game, Rodgers has been playing the best football of the entire season, the last month. And to your point, they get Metcalf back. Austin's return and presence was felt in this
Yep.
game this past week. And so having your full complement of weapons there, minus Darnell Washington, which obviously hurts, um, I think they do have a fighting chance, and this defense's ability to force turnovers and get timely takeaways, I'm going to bet on that. And I'm going to say, as dominant as the Texans defense has been, Rodgers' ability to avoid turnovers might be the thing that saves them in this one, right? He might be more inclined to take that sack than CJ Stroud, who might be more inclined to make the play.
Yep.
And those little things could be the difference in a game like this. I think Joey Porter Jr. is going to be probably the X factor. Him on Nico Collins, it's going to have to work. Like he's going to have to shut him down because he's by far their biggest threat.
It's been
so
4 years since
those
we
are
had
going to
Rodgers
be
in the playoffs.
What's that?
It's been 4 years since we've had Rodgers in the playoffs.
Yeah, 2021 was his last time.
And I think there's something to that. I think there's something. I don't know if that. I don't think. Again, I don't mean that means they're going to win in the second round or they're going to make an AFC title game or whatever. But I think there's something to Aaron Rodgers having one more chance Monday night. Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be a lot. The Texans even joked themselves. It's the first time the Texans have made the playoffs as a wild card, which is crazy. So they've only ever played home games on that turf at home in the playoffs. And then when to at least to start their playoff journey. And then you add in the fact that they're always usually playing on that Saturday afternoon game. It's just like, oh, forget the Texans. Who cares? Just get them over with. You're going to put them in prime time when we know everything else has already happened. I think there's a lot of pressure. And I think for an offense that is not clicking on all cylinders, going into Pittsburgh on Monday night and having to, find a way to score 21 points is not going to be easy. And so I think I'm talking myself into Pittsburgh. Obviously, the Texans are
there is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on Pittsburgh, though, too. I mean, Tomlin's got that 9 straight years of not a playoff win staring him down. Cam Hayward, how many years he got left, right? Like TJ Watt, same thing.
He's pushing his brother all over the field.
There's a lot of internal pressure, I think, on these individual players. And then, of course, the overarching pressure of getting over the hump of not winning a playoff game for 8 straight years. So there's a lot there. I do think this is their best shot in terms of matchups go. There's a lot of pressure there. I will take them to win this game down the stretch. After that, not sure I would feel as confident, but I certainly think that they can pull this one out, and they probably should. We'll just see which Texans team shows up.
Yeah. So in the AFC, real quick, you're on the Jags, I'm on the Bills. We're both on the Pats, and we're both on the Steelers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would put, if it were my it were my bracket, that would match up Pittsburgh with Denver, and then that would put Jacksonville at New England.
Yeah, that'd be great matchups. I like
which would be really nice. Right. The LA Rams, 12-5.
Revenge game. Remember, they lost to the Carolina Panthers.
And that was in Charlotte, right?
In Charlotte.
So we're back in Charlotte for the revenge game here. The Panthers squeak in at 8-9. A very intriguing matchup here. These first 2 matchups we're going to talk about here are both on Saturday. So the first playoff action goes to these 2 NFC matchups. But yeah, the Rams coming in, Mark, as a 10.5 point playoff favorite. That's a pretty big spread for a playoff team, but I don't know. I think we both agree that we're gonna
45-13.
45 yeah. I was gonna say it's been a great ride, Carolina, but hey, I would love to see this go down to the wire. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm not feeling super confident.
Listen, Carolina has a lot to hang their hat on.
Sure.
Tet McMillan is an absolute player. You found a wide receiver number one. You have a running back room that's really quality. You have a strong offensive line. You have nice young other pieces, in the wide receiver and tight end room. Your defense is a defense that is young and absolutely, improving. And I'll say this about Bryce Young. He really impressed me at times this year. He threw for over 400 yards in a game. I mean, he threw for 300 yards multiple times in a game. He certainly shows a maturity that I don't necessarily think I get with like a Kyler Murray and some of his contemporaries that we compare him to. He has also a likability factor that maybe Tua doesn't and Russell Wilson doesn't. Like it seems like the guys actually really love him and rally
Yeah.
around him. And there's something to be said for that, because when you are undersized and you're not like a giant in the room, like Justin Herbert walks in at 6'7", you're like, that's our guy. That's our dude. Look at him. He's dating Madison Beers. Like, that's our guy. We're going to follow him into battle. Bryce Young has seemed to buck some of the trends of the smaller, undersized guys. That being said, I think the Rams have so much going for them. Not only are they just the better football team, the fact that they lost in Carolina earlier in the season, I think is a cherry on the top of the Rams coming out here and absolutely standing on business and putting up 40-something points, giving up 14 points and just getting in and out, and it's a business trip. Like Sean McVay has all week to motivate the hell out of his guys. And listen, the Rams lucked into this 5 seed. It's a really good spot to be in the NFC. You can start on the road in Carolina. Weather won't be crazy. And again, you have all the motivating factors of you've lost to Carolina, so you can't take them for granted. You got to grind the film. And these guys know what they're getting themselves in for. I think it's going to be hot knife through butter. I'd be surprised if this was a close game. And I would have a lot of questions about the Rams going forward if it was a close game. And I would have to give a ton of credit to the Carolina Panthers. I think the Rams win pretty easy.
The Panthers' only shot, in my view, is if they can hold Puka to fewer than 80 yards receiving or something, right? Like if Puka has a 6 catches for 72 yards day, then I say, okay, maybe Carolina's got a shot there, but the Rams have 2 quality running backs as well. A better running back room than Carolina. They've got the weapons outmatched there. They've got the quarterback outmatched there. Offensive line, I'm not totally sure. Maybe that's a wash. And then defense, I think advantage still goes LA. So there's too many advantages for the Rams here to reasonably pick Carolina. But the one thing going forward is it's at home for Carolina. It means that the Rams are traveling, a West Coast team traveling East Coast.
Short rest Saturday, first game.
Short rest on a short week. So that whole travel is not ideal. The weather looks like it's going to be perfectly good. So, that's not going to play into Carolina's favor, even being an outdoor team. So, yeah, that's probably the only thing they can hang their hat on. But I imagine this is going to be a game where Bryce Young has 45 pass attempts, and I don't think that's reasonable for a playoff.
No,
game.
Carolina needs it to be a Rico Dowdle game, and they need to control the clock.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
if I would take the ball first, if I'm Carolina and I win the toss, I'm taking the ball first, and I'm doing everything I can to put together a 10-minute drive. Just let's make this the longest drive ever. Keep Stafford and company cold, and not let them get into the game quick. That's definitely the mode of operation there.
It'll be an easy one to turn off if it's getting ugly and you got some stuff to do on Saturday before the Bears Packers.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, it's the 4:30 game. The 8:00 game on Prime is your Chicago Bears hosting a playoff game against the Green Bay Packers. Could you have scripted this any better? Probably not. I'm seeing a lot of chirping out there on social media about how this is the last thing the Bears should want and on that. And I'm thinking this should be everything the Bears want. This is a map. You're going to have to beat a division rival. This is also just an opportunity to not only You won the division. You overcame that, milestone in the ever growing competition against Green Bay. Now you have an opportunity to be the reason that they get sent home
Yep.
in the playoffs. I mean, this would just mean so many things to a franchise, to a rookie head coach, to a young quarterback. That it's set up perfectly for an awesome story, and I can't wait for this one. I am picking your Chicago Bears to win this game, and I'm personally I just think it's more so if both teams were equally healthy coming into this game, I might feel a little differently. But no Micah Parsons, Jordan Love,
He's had a lot of time off since that
he's got a
concussion.
lot of time off.
3 weeks.
I feel better about the Bears, especially because I feel good about them not. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Have they had a game where they've had that poor of an offensive performance back to back? I can't recall this year where they've followed up a poor offensive performance with another dud. So I think
I
this
think
sets up.
correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Packers are on a 4-game losing streak going into the
Yeah,
playoffs.
you would
The
be
Bears are on a 2-game losing streak. The last Packers win was the Bears. The last Bears win was the Packers. So it's
nice.
Listen, the Bears and Packers games, when I look back at both games this year, I thought Chicago in Green Bay played just as good as Green Bay. Like they had a good game plan. They were there. Caleb had a chance to win that game. He threw the interception. It was a bad decision. And I think he is, learned from that. And then you look at the second game, the Packers outplayed the Bears without Jordan Love getting in. He got injured early in the first quarter or like end of the first quarter. The Packers outplayed the Bears for 3 3/3 quarters of a game. And then the Bears did what they've done 6 other times this year and a miracle finish to a game and found a way to win a game at home. I don't feel 100% confident. The Packers are the boogeyman. The Packers are. This is the only divisional game in the wild card round. And what do we say all the time with divisional games? They're just different. Divisional games are different. Like you were talking about with the Steelers and Browns. Like, oh, I can't throw that game out, but I kind of want to throw that game out. You want to throw those games out because it's almost impossible to truly judge your team in division because the teams just know each other so well. The vibes are just completely different. The energy is different. I was surprised by my wife on Christmas that I was going to the Bears-Lions game, and I was there on Sunday.
Yeah.
I will say it was not fun for 3.5 quarters. It was awful to watch that offense in person struggle like that. The game plan was mind-blowing, and the defense – listen, the defense just – decided that every crossing route was one we're going to let Amon-Ra St. Brown just get an extra couple yards in front of us and they gave up chunk after chunk after chunk after chunk. But I will say in the end, the Bears defense, they held the Lions to 16 points all said and done until the very last game winning kick. So they found ways to get stops when it mattered the most. The Bears offense, I mean, when you go from that San Francisco game to that Lions game, it's maddening, right? It just goes to show you they're still at a level where they're not consistent enough. Well, when you don't have Rome Odunze in that game, you didn't have Zacchaeus in that game, you're still relying on DJ Moore and Luther Burden, Luther Burden has been nursing injuries. And the tight ends, it's not the same. So you're going to have Rome Odunze back, and Rome Odunze should be 100% ready to go. Maybe not 100%, but he's healthy to go, right, and play. And just having him and his body and his presence is going to be huge, right? I don't have to rely on Deontay Walker and these guys who are fun stories, but it's like Jade Walker, and like, okay, like let's get the real players on. I'm worried about the CJ Gardner-Johnson injury at the end of that game. It looks like he's not going to play in this game. So you're going to have to go back to Tyreek Stevenson, who was benched for the Lions game. So that's not great against Jordan Love and the Packers. But Dan, as we said it, Jordan Love has not played since that Bears game. So he has sat 3.5 games and coming off a concussion. Now, I'm sure he's getting plenty of reps in practice. But this Packers team is limping into the playoffs. They're very beat up.
Mm-hmm.
What I expect this game to look like is I expect it to look like a lot of Bears-Packers games. I think the Packers are going to come out and they're going to be coming out firing on all cylinders because they have a confidence playing against the Bears, whether it's at Lambeau or Soldier Field. If the Bears can weather that storm, and if the Bears can find a way to not go 3 and out, you don't have to score even on the first drive or the second drive. But on both drives, get at least 1 first down. Control some of the clock. Don't let it become a wave like you did in the Lions game. Then I think what will eventually happen is what we saw happen in a ton of Bears games, what we saw happen in the first Bears-Packers game, what we saw happen in the second Bears-Packers game, that the Bears are a better football team right now with the talent they have on the field and just with the vibes and the mojo around them as far as injuries and all that stuff goes. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think you're going to see Caleb Williams cement the Iceman come with legacy. And Dan, I think the Bears are going to go to a game plan they used 5 weeks ago against the Philadelphia Eagles. That Eagles game, I think, is the game plan they're going to go back to. And I think you're going to see Caleb Williams only have to throw the ball 20-something times, because if you look at the forecast for Saturday night, they're talking about 35-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Yeah. Now, listen, the Packers don't care about the cold. The Bears don't care about the cold. But Caleb's ball is a little different in the cold than Jordan's ball. I think Caleb's got a little bit more zip, a little bit more arm strength. And Jordan Love and the Packers offense is built on down the field big plays, right? That is where he makes his money. The Bears offense, and you saw it against the Lions, you've seen it, like it's a little more Colson Loveland 5 yards, Cole Kmet 8 yards, get the ball in the hand, let the playmakers move. So I don't think the Bears passing game is going to be as impacted as the Packers passing game will be by the winds and the weather conditions. So then it's going to come down to who can run the ball better. Bears offensive line should be 100% healthy. Trapillo should be back for this game. I've seen the Bears wear down opponents with the run game. That's what I'm going to hope happens. I think it's going to be a big game for Swift and a big game for Kyle Monangai. I think the Bears win. I think it's ugly and close. I think it's 24, 20, 27, 23. I think it's a nail biter. It's awful. My stomach hurts, but I think the Bears find a way to win at home. Caleb Williams makes the plays down the stretch with an impressive win, setting up what will be maybe the Packers fire Matt LaFleur type of. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe
it'd be icing on the cake for the show.
I can wish it, unless they get Harbaugh, that would not be great. Or Stefanski.
Well, fair.
I gotta back myself into a corner, being like, fire Matt LaFleur. That'd be good for the Bears. It's not good for the Bears if you hire Stefanski or Harbaugh. I think, listen, it's Bears-Packers Saturday night. It's going to be a giant broadcast. I'm a little bummed that it's Al Michaels on the call, who's basically a dead man in the booth. But that doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me too much anyways, because I don't know if there's going to be a ton of ginormous plays in this game. I think it's going to be a lot of ball control and who's actually efficient in the red zone. And the Bears defense, to all their credit, tightens up in the red zone, and the Bears offense, to their credit, can get things done in the red zone, especially with Caleb. I think Caleb may run a touchdown in here. I think it's going to be a trick play or two from Ben Johnson, stuff you haven't seen. I love the Bears. I kind of love that the Bears lost to the Lions. It allows Ben Johnson to just MF for his team all week long. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. You freaking suck. We got lucky that we got the 2 seed. And I do think the Bears also understand the importance of the 2 seed and knowing that, hey, you have a chance to maybe host an NFC title game here if things break your way. Don't squander this. I know it's house money, like we said with the Patriots and the Jags. The Bears are a house money team too. Same with the Panthers right now. But don't squander this opportunity. Find a way. You're better than the Packers. Go out and beat the Packers. But the Packers can win because it's Jordan Love and it's the Packers, and they have a lot more experience. Jordan Love this is 3rd straight year in the playoffs as the 7th seed. They went to an NFC title game his first year in the playoffs as a 7th seed. They're very capable of going on a run, especially if he's healthy. So if the Bears lose to Jordan Love, it's not the end of the world, but it certainly will put a giant wet blanket on what otherwise should be a very celebrated season.
So we both got the Rams. We both got the Bears. let's see if we can close out with a clean sweep on the NFC side. The San Francisco 49ers on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles obviously rested a lot of their starters last week, and San Francisco still had a lot to fight for last week as well. Both of these teams, I was going to say, I can't remember if they had played each other this year, but they did not play each other in the
No,
regular
they've
season.
just had a
First
lot of
meeting.
matchups in the last couple of years with the playoffs and regular season.
Yeah, yeah. So, and in another intriguing matchup, you mentioned kind of the rock fight, as you put it. This is definitely setting up to be one of those where which line is going to dominate
Yeah,
in this game. And frankly, there's questions about both teams. I've been riding the 49ers wave the entire second half to maybe even 3/4 of the season. Once I saw how they were doing with Mac Jones, I feel most confident in San Fran because I think they're a more consistent team, and they've got Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and a Brock Purdy that rarely turns the ball over. On the flip side, they're playing a Jalen Hurts who I'm questioning more and more, who I'm feeling less confident in to not make a crucial turnover. And it's, right now I'm taking McCaffrey over Saquon in the running back battle. So I give a slight edge to San Francisco, but I also just think the way they play football is really different, and yet they both have a similar approach, if that makes sense. Like they both want to run the ball, but they both run the ball very
yeah.
differently. Um, and I trust Kyle Shanahan versus Nick Sirianni in this matchup any day of the week. Obviously, this is a game where I could see either one of these teams coming away with the victory, but there's been a lot of wobbling with the Philadelphia Eagles this year. They started the year on a nice win streak, and then they lost 2 in a row, and then they won 3 in a row, and then they lost 3 in a row, and then they won 3 again. Lost last week. It's been somewhat of a roller coaster, despite them landing at 11-6 and winning the division. San Fran's been a lot more consistent this year, and Brock Purdy's been playing out of his mind lately. I know this game last week was pour a bucket of cold water over the entire team and got a shock to the system. But they were playing against one of the best defenses in the league. They were playing against a rival in Seattle. I think that's much more of an anomaly of a performance than anything else. And I rarely don't see Kyle Shanahan putting out a similar product in a second consecutive week that we just saw from this team a week ago. So the resting doesn't always play into a team's advantage, and I think Philly might see them bite them a little bit coming up into this matchup.
I love everything you said there because I just have like the opposite feeling on everything you said.
Really? Okay.
I
All
love
right.
the Eagles in this game. I love them. I love that they're at home. I love that San Francisco mentally, you just played a game last Saturday that was your chance to have home field through the Super Bowl in San Francisco. You had
Mhm.
not left San Francisco for 2 weeks, and then you're hosting Seattle at home, and you get beat like they did in a close game where it just felt like you were not good enough to make enough plays. And now it's like, oh shit, we got to go on the road Sunday to cold Philadelphia to a hostile environment. And I got a healthy Jordan Davis. I got a healthy Jalen Carter. I have a Vic Fangio led defense with Cooper DeJean is dating Nikki Bella. Like the vibes of this defense are all time high. And you have
You really like
you
is this
have an
more
Eagles
about
offense. You have an Eagles
the
offense.
49ers than the Eagles, or is this
It's
more about the
about the
Eagles?
Eagles. I think it's more the Eagles. You have an Eagles offense that resets, takes a week off. There was people calling for start Tanner McKee in Philadelphia radio Start Tanner McKee. Jalen Hurts is struggling after that Bills game, and then you see Tanner McKee lay an egg. I think the vibes, you get Lane Johnson healthy is going to be back starting for this offensive line.
Yeah.
I know everyone's talking about Trent Williams. Lane Johnson, the two great tackles of the last 12 years, Lane Johnson and Trent Williams, both first ballot Hall of Famers. No one's talking about, well, Lane Johnson's coming back. Lane Johnson's coming back. And I think you have a Eagles football team that is uniquely built for this matchup, that is got you said on the flip side, Jalen Hurts, and I thought you were about to say, yeah, the Super Bowl MVP, the guy who's been there, done that,
Who
has been
shows
in
up
these
in
big
big
moments.
moments.
And
Yeah.
you go, well, I'm having my doubts about him, which I get why you say that. But again, I think
I
it's
mean,
now.
Mark, they haven't put up 20 points. Like,
I know.
they haven't put up 30 points,
I know.
but once since, like September.
I know.
Um,
And I don't know
know.
why, but I just feel that this is an Eagles team that's back where they belong. They're in the playoffs, they're at home, and they're playing in a big moment in a big game. And you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Lane Thompson is
Yeah.
back.
I
Mailata
mean,
is.
you make a good case. Like, I
This is
will
the
say, like,
defending Super Bowl champions, and they're at home against a Niners team that I think is licking their wounds a little bit. They're not going to show it, but they had a chance to be home. They had a chance to, and I think mentally,
yeah, but
that
you could
game,
argue that puts them. You get shut down that hard, but you're still in the playoffs. It's like, okay, that's almost like a big, like, lick your wounds, and then, like,
yeah, but you're still in the playoffs, and it's like, oh, let's go to cold Philadelphia
Yeah,
against the
no, I
defending
mean,
Super Bowl
yeah,
champions.
that's
And
a
listen, Dan,
definite advantage,
I
Philly there.
Dan, I think again, I think the Niners are more what they play. I think the Niners defense is more what they were against the Bears than they were against Seattle. And let me explain. Again, divisional matchups. You guys know each other really well. Seattle versus San Francisco. They're both playing kind of tight. It felt like a playoff game because it's like the one seed's on the line. It's a tug and it's a push and it's a pull. It's a push and it's a pull. And listen, to San Francisco's credit, they're playing against the best defense in the NFL in Seattle. We're the second best behind Houston. So yeah, they didn't look great. And they didn't have, all of their assortment of guys, no Trent Williams. But I just think what you saw from San Francisco's defense the week before with Robert Saleh, listen, they are piecing this together. No Bosa, no Fred Warner. Like, they're piecing it together with a great coach. Saleh deserves a ton of credit. I think it's a one and done. I think Philadelphia's silent. No one's picking Philadelphia, and I think it's such a mistake. I'm ready to eat crow. I'm ready to eat crow. And listen, San Francisco absolutely
Is this
win
the
this
most
game.
confident outside of Rams Panthers in the entire wild card round?
I'm betting. Yeah, I'm like I'm taking Philadelphia. I think they're underdogs at home.
Wow.
I think, right? I
Yeah,
think
let
the
me
line,
check. Let me check what that.
or it's a pick 'em. It's like a 1.5. I love Philly at home. Everyone's trashing Philly.
Philly is favored by 4.5.
4? Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Well,
Philly 4.5. The over under
I don't know.
44.5.
I'll just take money line. I don't know. 4.5's a lot. I think
It's
it's
supposed to be 50 degrees and sunny in Philadelphia.
really on
Yeah.
on Sunday afternoon. Okay, well that doesn't play into my hand. I'm seeing all this weather for Saturday night in Chicago.
No, I mean,
I'm
you
assuming
make a lot of good points, though, and I mean, we've seen Jalen Hurts rise to the occasion more often than not when it comes to big moments. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remotely feel I'm not gonna stamp, put my stamp on this particular matchup. I feel much more confident in others, but
Well, like I'm
I
taking the Rams Carolina game out of it. So it's like if there's one game, and I'm not going to pick my Bears game because obviously I'm supremely confident in that. So if I look at the other 4 games, yeah, I would bet the Eagles to beat San Francisco. I think listen, Philly lost to Washington in the final week. That taking the rest day, we'll see if it worked or not for them. I think for a Philly veteran team that's been there, done that. This is a coach that's been in 2 Super Bowls, won 1. It's a quarterback that's been in 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years, won 1. It was the MVP in 1, should have been the MVP in the other. He was the better player. He just had the fumble that killed him. And I think, again, when you look at Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are healthy, and they've been kind of game wrecking the last against Josh Allen. I mean, look at the Josh Allen footage on the road,
Yeah.
At Buffalo. They were unstoppable, and then you rest them. I think that helps them even more at home at the bank. I think San Francisco is running into a little bit of an NFC sleeping giant. I do not want to play the Eagles in the second round, but it looks like if everything happens that way, it's going to be Bears Eagles again. I think it's a different Eagles team. We didn't play a healthy Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter when we put up all those rushing yards on Philly.
Yeah, it certainly makes a difference. That's
it's a different. It's a different.
Addition.
I think it's a different team.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan. I listen. If San Francisco wins, I'm not going to be shocked because they're a really good football team and they're playing good football.
I mean, look, if Philly can shut down McCaffrey, it's game over. That San Fran then has zero chance in my mind to win. But I just think like McCaffrey.
I think Jalen Hurts. A lot of it just comes to Jalen Hurts. I think he plays big in big moments. We've seen it over and over again. And if he lays an egg, then we do have something to really talk about, right? Like that's going to be a storyline because this year is a huge Super Bowl hangover, kind of disappointing year. When you look at all things considered, especially just offensively, the team never clicked 100%. But I think they have a chance to do it now, and I think they will.
We both got the Bears. We have the Rams, and then we're split on Eagles 49ers. So pretty much on the same page for the majority of this wild card weekend. Should be exciting. It's going to be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of football. So
next week's show is going to be wild.
A lot to look forward to. Yeah, it is. But it's also nice when we can pay attention to just one game at one time for the entire weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That is the benefit of playoff football. So a lot to get to next week for sure. But
I feel like next week's show we'll do a lot more recap than just preview because obviously, we'll want to spend time in each one of these games. So if you're one of those people who loves the recap, don't worry. I think we'll do more recap and then preview, obviously we'll do a preview at the end too, but it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting.
Hell excited. It's going to be a great time.
I can't wait to bet every game. I'm just going to bet. Follow me on Twitter. I'll post my bet for every game. I'm betting every game.
There you go. Yeah, let's do it. Tis the season for FanDuel, for ESPN Bet, for all the rest, for sure. So hope you enjoy some great football this weekend. We'll see you back here next Tuesday with a full recap from Wild Card Weekend.